of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
And we are back. Wow, what a jam-packed day of news. I barely got the sit rep out in time for tonight's episode. If you want to download the sit rep, go to patreon.com/survival dispatch, sign up as an insider. Tonight is just for paying members. 50% of the time it's free to everybody. So before we jump into the main topic, which is Tulsi Gabbard being confirmed as Trump's director of national intelligence, I have one quick video that I want to show here with regards to Pam Bondi's press conference this afternoon. This is from Gunther Eagleman. Holy shit, the hammer of justice is swinging. Pam Bondi just went scorched earth. We have filed charges in the state of New York against Kathy Hochul, Letitia James, and Mark Schroeder. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. You're next. This is huge. 1 minute and 2 seconds. This lady is on fire.
So thanks for being patient with us with the delay. We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next. Millions of illegal aliens with violent records have flooded into our communities, bringing violence and deadly drugs with them. With me today,
All right. So first off, welcome to tonight's podcast, Jeff.
Sorry, I was late.
No.
Just got out of the shower.
No worries. You smell much better than you did last night.
Well, I had to dye my hair because normally it's like jet black and youthful. So I add a little salt and pepper to it, to make me look more mature.
It's working. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. So tonight's topic, Jeff, I don't know if you had a chance to see the sit rep because I got it. Yeah, my fault. There's just so much news today. Took a while to get it out. The main topic of the night is Tulsi Gabbard, but just played a short video from Pam Bondi's press conference this afternoon, filed charges against the state of New York. Kathy Hochul, our friend Letitia James, said tongue planted firmly in cheek. It's about time that we saw some of this stuff. And I'm not saying that Pam Bondi's been moving slow. A lot of us have been pretty excited to see this day come and much more. But we're going to dive into our main topic of the night, which is Tulsi Gabbard being confirmed as Trump's director of national intelligence. Say hello to your new DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, officially confirmed by the Senate. And I think I've got a picture somewhere in the brief tonight that puts her next to the previous DNI. And once again, we have a massive upgrade. So here's
real quick though. I saw this same photo and it had the caption, This is the face looking when you realize that you're now the boss of everybody who put you on the no-fly list.
Exactly. It's awesome. It's glorious. And I have some stuff coming up on that as well. But here's a short video just after she was confirmed. 1 minute, 26 seconds. It's pretty good.
Hey guys, great news. We just confirmed Tulsi Gabbard to be the DNI, Director of National Intelligence. Now, what is DNI? A lot of people ask, I know what FBI is, I know what the CIA is. What is DNI? Well, let me just give you kind of a quick rundown of this. There's actually 18 intelligence agencies. DNI was stood up after 9/11 because what happened 9/11, we realized we had the information, but it was all siloed in all these different agencies. So President Bush wanted to set up the director of national intelligence that they don't go out and gather information. That's the other intelligence agencies that do that. But the director of national intelligence takes all of it, brings it together, makes sure that all the information that the FBI may be gathering someplace, the CIA may be gathering in place, and all the other ones may be gathered. They're all filtered together. We decipher it. We use all of it to get the best intelligence report to the president's desk. So super excited about having Tulsi Gabbard, my friend, confirmed to be the next director of national intelligence. Next up, Robert Kennedy Jr. Bobby's a very good friend of mine. What's interesting here is the Democrats hate them both, even though they were long-term Democrats. Now the Republicans, even though the Democrats are supposed to be the party of inclusion, whatever that's supposed to mean, it seems like to me the party of the Republican Party is the one that's accepting everybody in and taking different opinions.
So, Jeff, I think the one thing that really pisses off the Democrats is that Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., former stalwarts of the Democrat Party, are now, their adversary, very significant adversary. And I think it's making the Democrats look really bad that some of their top talent, and I use that word loosely, by the way, had to leave the party and step over to the MAGA side of things, not the Republicans. Republicans are garbage, just like Democrats. We'll say MAGA. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think their success is embarrassing the Democrat Party.
Well, yeah, it is, and I'm sure they look at them as traitors, because you're not Americans, you're not right-leaning Americans versus left-leaning Americans. It's Democrats versus Republicans. I think Republicans are much more inclusive of Democrats, and actually, if you look at Biden's appointments, all of them were put through with bipartisan support, whereas all these, except for I think one vote where you have the guy from Pennsylvania, they've all been straight party line votes. Well, I think Pam Bondi got in and a couple others, but for the most part, Hegseth, all these people, straight party line votes.
Yeah.
Because, and especially you're going to see with Tulsi and RFKs, because they see them as, they're traitors. They betrayed us to the Republicans. It's like, no, they went with what's good for the country. Period. It's like Joe Manchin was a Democrat, but he was a conservative, right-leaning Democrat, and man, the lefties hated him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to go to the next point here. That Tulsi's journey to becoming the director of national intelligence actually started a little over 7 months ago, when her and her husband were put on the TSA Safe Skies list. So this is a list of, dangerous passengers subject to extreme TSA checkpoint measures. Several U.S. air marshals fly on the same flights as anybody on the Safe Skies, unbeknownst to them, of course. Although if you get 4 S's on your boarding pass, and I have a picture of it, it means that you're on the TSA Safe Skies list and you're going to have a rough day. So we covered this 6 months ago with Sonia Labosco. So Sonia was a former sergeant not too far from us here, Daytona Beach PD. And then after 9/11, she wanted to, help on GWAT, the Global War on Terror. And she ended up a U.S. Marshal. And then a couple years after that, they rolled the U.S. Marshals in underneath the Department of Homeland Security. And at that time, they were the only law enforcement component of it. So Sonia now, she was a whistleblower back in the day. She now protects whistleblowers. So 2 whistleblowers came to her to give her all the details on what the Biden admin had done to Tulsi and her husband. And then she went public with it. And we were fortunate. We have a bunch of mutual connections, and hence the screenshot. And of course, you remember this, Jeff. I mean, you were on this broadcast with us. That's when she caught Trump's eye at that particular point in time. And that comes on good authority. And here's the quad S, by the way. So if you see 4 S's on your boarding pass, you are on the Safe Skies program. It says Quiet Skies here, Safe Skies. And like you said, she was under surveillance by the intel community under Biden. Now she's in charge of it.
Yeah. Well, I would
Got-
like to see Tulsi Gabbard, who is in charge of the air marshals who run this program, to go in and find out who put her on that. And you ask the air marshals, because I don't think the air marshals did it. Someone told them to do it. And you find out, okay, who put her on that list. And if it is a senior air marshal official, fire his ass. If he did it on his own volition, if he was ordered to by somebody higher up, fine. But that needs to be exposed. We need to get the name. And if it is a senior Biden official, great, okay, with nothing we can do to him now, but we can yank their security clearances and things like that. But there needs to be a reckoning for this kind of crap. She is a colonel in the United States military. She served 2 tours in Iraq. She was a congressperson from Hawaii, and she was a candidate for the president of the United States, and they think she's a terrorist?
Well, I mean, she is a white female, so she's only like
No,
this.
she's not a white female. She's a Pacific Islander.
Well,
And that makes her a double traitor, because not only is she a Democrat who went to the Republicans, she's a minority Democrat who went to the Republicans.
well, she looks like a Caucasian, and that puts
Yeah.
her one step away from you and me being the greatest terrorist threat, according to the old Biden admin. But she ended up on this list 24 hours after she criticized Kamala Harris. So I would hazard to guess that when the source comes out, it will be somebody fairly high in the old Biden admin, potentially Kamala or Biden himself, I guess.
Probably his
But-
chief of staff.
It could be. So 1 minute, 33 seconds. The reason I'm playing this is because it sets the stage for the balance of chapter 1 for us tonight, as far as, how these people, screwed her over, did unethical things. And now, the Reaper's coming to collect payment on that. So 1 minute, 33 seconds.
The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once, but twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by
3 times.
his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation, specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end.
So that lays a little bit of the groundwork. Next video lays a little bit more, Jeff. 4 minutes, 39 seconds. I'm just going to play a portion of it.
So what exactly did Tulsi Gabbard do to get added to the terror watch list? It came the day after she criticized the Biden administration right here on The Angle.
Our foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power to undermine our freedoms and liberties when we are in a state of war. Kamala Harris does not have the strength to stand up to the military-industrial complex.
Okay, that's wild. Joining me now, Tulsi Gabbard, former U.S. Congresswoman, Fox News contributor. Tulsi, now, you serve this country in uniform, even getting deployed to Iraq. Thank you for going, unlike Tim Walz. And now you're being surveilled. I mean, it's a form of surveillance or hassling and intrusion upon your freedom to move by the government. What is this? I mean, I didn't believe it really when I first heard about it. I said, oh, that can't be. But how does this make you feel?
Laura, this is a clear act of political retaliation. There's no other way to put it. You laid out the sequence of events the very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be. I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. The clear pain and real visceral hurt that comes from this is, as you mentioned, like many Americans, I enlisted because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits to the core and is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a chilling effect. It sends a warning both to me and to anyone else who even thinks about daring to criticize our own government, which is a guaranteed protected right under the First Amendment.
Yeah.
That we will be subject to a violation of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy through this.
All right, so I'm going to stop that there. So there's an old adage, Jeff, I'm sure you're familiar with it, that says, careful whose toes you step on as you move up the ladder, because you may just have to kiss their ass on the way back down. And I think that really applies to Kamala Harris, especially, talentless, unintelligent, just not a great candidate all the way around, right? She's not qualified to be anything. So this is the background to what brought us to this particular point in time. I scoured for the best possible video of her being sworn in, and every single one of them has a very, very low volume. So I'm going to turn it up as much as I can here. This is a short one, 29 seconds. Pam Bondi swearing in Tulsi Gabbard. That's her husband beside her, by the way. And here we go.
I, Tulsi Gabbard, do solemnly swear
That I will
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
I take this obligation freely.
All right, stop that there. So number one, Jeff, I want to mention that our friend Billy, East Texas, says that she can keep her eyes on him anytime she wants. And number two, I'm not sure if it made it into the sit rep or not, but I saw, a humorous post that compared the women under Trump's, cabinet versus the ones under old Biden's. And let's just say there's a pretty big difference.
Well, let's just say the ones under Trump are actually women.
Yes, they are.
That's
not
the first step. I mean, we don't have any Rachel Levines and Sam Britton's out there.
Yeah, no chicks with dicks in the Trump cabinet. That's
Exactly.
just the way it should be. All right.
Like the East German swim team, Doc, I think those drugs you're giving me are affecting my hormones. He says, I have hair on my chest. Doctor goes, how far down does it go? All the way to my dick.
Right.
But in a true one, someone asked the East German women's swim coach back in the 80s when they were all doped up. He goes, why do your swimmers all have such deep voices? And his reply, this is no shit. They didn't come here to sing.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So next post up here, your next director of DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, congratulations. It was 52-48, the vote in the Senate, and Rhino Mitch McConnell voted against her. I've got some stuff coming up on Cocaine Turtle here before too long. But the thing that strikes me, the difference between Trump's cabinet and the last cabinet, which was not voted in, which was installed, is the quality of the candidates, the merit, the excellence, the intelligence versus the DEI crap on the other hand. I mean, we've just had a massive upgrade to our federal government across the board, and it's going to continue that way. All right. Next one up. This is a snippet of an interview that she did with Sean Ryan. It's 2 minutes and 7 seconds. This, of course, is set before she was nominated and before she was confirmed today. So again, this lays a lot of the background of the steps that it took to get her to where she is today. Personally, super happy that she's the DNI. I'm very happy Pam Bondi, the AG, only have 2 concerns, but thankfully they shouldn't wade into the firearm stuff, but they've been said some pretty anti-2A things in the past, and Pam Bondi enacted red flag laws here in Florida, which I vehemently disagree with.
There is no perfect candidate.
Correct, which is why I'm happy to see them.
Perfect is the enemy of the good enough.
Well, you're not going to check every box, and you're right. I've said that many times. So it's still massive upgrade from what we had before. All right. So
I gotta make one comment.
yeah, go ahead.
She has a nice bar in the background. Not as good as mine, but a nice bar.
That's Sean Ryan's studio. That's funny.
Okay, he has a good bar in the back.
He absolutely does. I want to add that Tulsi Gabbard is 43 years old, so she's got a long career ahead of her, probably at a pretty high level. I see Billy, our friend Billy from Texas, said that first female president. Hard to say. Well, I tell you,
he drinks.
Right.
Like a lot. He's from Texas. He can't help it. Probably Lone Star, which means he's got brain rot too. So,
Jeff, we seem to be having technical difficulties. Did you say something?
I said Billy's from Texas, and he probably drinks Lone Star.
Can't hear a word you're saying.
Don't tell me you drank Lone Star. Drink Shiner. If you're going to drink a Texas beer, drink Shiner, man.
How about Texas, my home state?
Well, I've lived there twice. My daughter was born there and lives there to this day. I love Texas, but Lone Star was not good beer.
I don't disagree. Anyway, what I was going to say, Jeff, was Tulsi's 43, and it's hard to believe Pam Bondi is 59. She's 3 years older than I am. I mean, she does not look 59, not even close. Who knows? Maybe she could be on a presidential ticket at some point.
Or she bathes in the blood of murdered babies. You know, we'll start that rumor now.
Probably not. Yeah. Anyway, so here's another interesting video, and this is when she was discussing pandemics and the biolabs. And actually, to be honest with you, now that I think about it, we've had a brutal week with social media, right? We started out this week, we got a strike from YouTube because we showed an airsoft training gun from Unit Solutions. It's a very sophisticated airsoft gun, and they're not cheap, but it has a full auto switch on it. So we appealed it. You can't even put any type in and just click the button. Instantly denied on the appeal. And that was on our secondary YouTube channel. We have 2 YouTube channels. The main channel with 427,000 subs, and then our smaller one where I test stuff out sometimes. It only has 3,600 and change. But thankfully, it was on the smaller channel. And then last night, Jeff, right in the middle of the broadcast after you left, I started getting these red warnings in the admin panel here that we had been shut down on Facebook.
Did they mention me by name?
They did not.
Oh, okay, good.
But they were promoting a T-shirt that says, "Of course I'm right. My name is Jeff."
There you go.
Anyway, so I went to check it out afterwards, and Facebook shut us down because we were glorifying gore and violence. There was absolutely nothing in
what?
Last
Wait, last night?
Yep.
Was I like totally drunk and forgot that we did a show last night? I mean, I don't remember that.
This was after you left.
Okay. Well, that may be then.
Yeah, when you went to dinner. So anyway, I went and had a look at it afterwards, and that's why they booted us off of Facebook. And again, I was in a rush because there was such a volume of news today to try to get everything put together. And there's a lot of stuff that I would have liked to put in the sit rep for today, but I ran out of room. And as it is, I probably got the largest chapter 2 ever in the history of us doing sit reps coming up. So in hindsight, I can't play this video and risk another strike because it takes 90 days for a strike to roll off. you get 3 in 90 days. It's a channel deletion. And there are certain topics that if you even mention, it is now an instant channel deletion. So I'm just going to suggest to people, either search on what you can see on the screen, go to Liz Churchill's profile on X, or go to Patreon and download our sit rep. But in hindsight, foresight, whatever you want to call it, I'm not playing that video because I just can't risk it. So next one up, Mitt Romney called Tulsi a treasonous liar when he said there were U.S. funded DOD biolabs in Ukraine. Can't play this one either now that I think about it. These two videos will for sure get us a second strike. And we put too much work into everything to get struck out. We broadcast to 8 different platforms. So would it kill us if we lost, one of our YouTube channels? No. But our mission at the end of the day is to dispatch information so our fellow Americans and friends of Americans can survive in these very uncertain times. So this is also the reason that I'm getting about 4 hours sleep a night, because my team is working around the clock to get Liberty Club, a new social media platform for Todd Calendar, ready to launch on February 26th. All right, so moving on from there, George Behizzi here. My favorite thing about Tulsi Gabbard is that she refused to attack Edward Snowden even when pressured by Republican senators. She did not trade her integrity for confirmation. She's a real one. 1 minute, 45 seconds. Dying to hear your comments on Edward Snowden, by the way, when this is done, since he comes from your world, essentially. So here we go.
Do you still think Edward Snowden is brave?
Mr. Vice Chairman, Edward Snowden broke the law. I do not agree with or support with all of the information and intelligence that he released, nor the way in which he did it. There would have been opportunities for him to come to you on this committee or seek out the IG to release that information. The fact is, he also, even as he broke the law, released information that exposed egregious, illegal, and unconstitutional programs that are happening within our government.
Excuse me, Mr.
that
Gabbard.
led to serious reforms that Congress undertook.
Chairman, we got 5 minutes. So I take your answer, and these are your quotes. Brave, please join my bipartisan legislation calling for charges to be dropped against him. Do you disagree that legislation was not appropriate? Do you believe he is brave or not?
Yeah,
Back those words?
once again, Senator, Edward Snowden broke the law. He
Ms. Gabbard,
also
I'm not
released
talking- we
information
agree that Edward Snowden
that
broke the
exposed
law.
the United States
Asking you a
government's
question whether
illegal
your
programs.
legislation and your words are still your beliefs. Yes or no, please.
I'm making myself very clear. Edward
Ma'am.
Snowden broke the law. He released information about the United
All right,
States
ma'am,
government's
I've got other issues to
illegal
raise. Ma'am,
activities.
I
If I may just finish my thoughts, Senator. In this role that I've been nominated for, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will be responsible for protecting our nation's secrets. And I
Ma'am,
have 4 immediate
I'd
steps
ask for
that I
additional
would
time,
take to
Chairman.
prevent another Snowden-like leak.
You know what, Jeff? The other thing that strikes me with Trump's cabinet, especially the women, all of them are extremely articulate and fast thinking on their feet. It's pretty impressive. So give me your take on her comments on Snowden, and I Snowden in general as well. I want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
She's absolutely right. Snowden broke the law, but then there's the question of, but he exposed these programs and he signed NDAs. He did all this stuff where he wasn't supposed to talk, and he did anyway. But on the flip side, what he exposed were illegal programs, 100% illegal and unconstitutional programs that violated the 4th, 5th, and about, I think, the 9th Amendments of the Constitution. Should he have gone? I think she said, yeah, he should have gone through the IG. I think he tried to report this through channels and was rebuffed. So if you see something that is blatantly illegal and you report it through the proper channels and they do absolutely nothing, then you've got to ask yourself, do I have a moral obligation to take the next step? And, this is spying on the American public, which is unconstitutional, without a court order. So then the question becomes, okay, swap that for a murder. If he had seen a murder, he saw, that where NSA had murdered a U.S. citizen, let's say, and he reports that to the IGs or superiors and says, okay, this is, grossly illegal, it's against the law, and they go, yeah, don't worry about it. Well, what's your moral obligation then? Your moral obligation then is to go to the police and say, Joe Blow over here, who was killed last week, was actually killed by the NSA. Because there is nowhere in the Constitution that gives the U.S. government the authority to kill its citizens extra legally. Now, if you are convicted of murder, you get a trial, you get your appeals, and then you're executed, different story. But if they just say, we don't like you, we're going to kill you, they can't do that. Just like NSA can't say, we find it really inconvenient to get a warrant, so we're just going to collect all your private emails, all your text messages between you and your wife. And if my wife and I say, hey, honey, put on that little French maid outfit tonight because we're going to really have a party when I get home, that's nobody's business but mine or ours. But they were collecting with a freaking vacuum cleaner the size of Texas, everything, texts, emails, phone calls, who you're calling, when you're calling them, all that stuff. And under your local cop, if he wanted that, he would have to go to court, apply for a warrant, go to a judge, explain why he's collecting the information, what he needs it for, and what's the predication, meaning this is why we think we need it. We think this is a bad person. NSA was just sucking it all up. And that is wrong.
So that actually started in the late 1990s with Project Echelon. And
well, it started before that with Carnivore.
Well, Project Echelon was the first mass surveillance that attempted to capture all traffic.
Yeah.
So, and we sold, meaning Sun Microsystems, we sold billions of dollars of equipment to the NSA for Project Echelon.
Which ended up in Utah, that monstrous server farm.
Yeah. So the volume of traffic today on the internet compared to back then, late 90s, is an order of magnitude greater. The amount of horsepower it takes to capture everything going across the wire and then make sense of it, collate it, search it is astronomical. It's beyond what most people would be able to comprehend for compute power. So we were selling them back in the day, what were called E15Ks. So this was a vertically built up server, the size of a refrigerator, and it had 104 RISC-based CPUs and was used for things like human genome research, and people like, scientists would lease out time on them from educational institutions. They started at $5 million for the base config. Fully decked out back in the day, it was a $20 million computer. In today's dollars, probably $100 million computer sort of thing. And they would fill warehouses full of these things. And so power consumption, heat generation, there's all these other considerations come into play when you scale up to that level. And again, the volume of data that crosses the network is just insane. But I was not directly involved in Project Echelon, but many people I worked with were. And I've got quite a bit of information on it back in the day, which actually, to be honest, Jeff, I mean, I learned to program, punch cards way back in the day, but at that point in time, late 90s, when I took a real interest in network security and all the spying and stuff. So I was early to that party for sure. But I want to address a quick question. Somebody here asked, let me see if I can find it.
While you're looking real quick, if you want to cure global warming, just have NSA turn off their server farms.
There you go. So I want to share this screen and just explain it briefly for a second. So Sandy, it's not Liberty Watch, it's Liberty Club. And this is a next generation social media platform with zero censorship that my team is building for Todd Callender. Todd Callender is a very notorious federal level attorney. He was the lead attorney who sued Lloyd Austin, the DOD, over the thing they tried to stick in 400,000 troops' arms that didn't want it. There were 51 attorneys. He was the lead attorney, took it to SCOTUS. He's the CEO of a global insurance company. And for shits and grins, he does things like he bought 850 square miles in Chile with 50 miles of Pacific waterfront that he's turning into basically a shipping hub from Asia to Chile and then north from there without having to go around the tip of South America, pardon me. So Liberty Club, it's going to launch on February 26th. We're in a soft launch right now. It's invite only because we're on a development server. It doesn't have a ton of horsepower, but that's fixing to change soon. And when it launches, we'll be advertising all over the place. We'll be mentioning on here. There are only two things that will be taken down from Liberty Club, and that's illegal content and pornography. Other than that, everything goes. I can actually see that somebody has just posted something on. You have to read it for yourself. I don't want to say the words because that right there will get you a strike on YouTube if you mention that particular technology that you can just see at the bottom of the screen. So anyway, Liberty Club coming February 26th will be the only truly censorship-free platform. I got to give Elon credit for a lot of the work that he's done, but X is still heavily censored, and there's still a lot of woke code under the hood that penalizes patriots and conservatives, including myself. I've been banned multiple times for doing nothing wrong. All right, moving up to the next one. February 11th, 2025, yesterday, Democratic Senator Dick Blumenthal, he goes by Richard, but Dick is more apropos. Yeah. Rails against Iraq veteran Tulsi Gabbard, saying she has proven untrustworthy throughout her career. Nothing could be further from the truth. Meanwhile, May 28th, 2010, Blumenthal is busted for lying about serving in Vietnam. Stolen valor. The guy's a scumbag. 1 minute and 2 seconds.
And confirming Tulsi Gabbard puts in place someone who has proven untrustworthy throughout her career.
Did you hear that, Jeff? She's untrustworthy.
Says the lying sack of shit.
Right.
Potentially an aide to Moscow, Beijing, Tehran, and others.
And a big U.S. Senate race in Connecticut got blown sky high today when the leading Democrat in the race got caught in a lie over his military service. Richard Blumenthal, who is the state attorney general, has said in the past he served in Vietnam. He did not. He served during Vietnam. The New York Times reports he received 5 wartime deferments, and he served stateside in the Marine Reserves. Today, Blumenthal said he misspoke.
I will not allow anyone to take a few misplaced words and impugn my record of service to our country.
Misplaced words.
Videotape Blumenthal saying he was in.
So I want to add something here, Jeff, and then you can comment on it. And that is, anybody who believes that this guy and the Piglosi's of the world and Schumers have ever been voted in are just out to lunch. These are all actors who've been installed, just like Biden was installed in 2020. Nobody votes.
I'm saying Blumenthal is the equivalent of a guy coming home. Okay, honey, yeah, I slept with these 17 women, but that doesn't make me a cheater.
Yeah. I just want to make the point, though, that these people are not legitimately elected. They are not legitimately elected. That the elections have been stolen since 1913. JFK overwhelmed the system, got killed for it. Trump did it, almost got killed for it. This is political theater, and nobody in the, right now, you got 31% of Americans have a somewhat favorable view of the Democrats, but from a voting perspective, less than 20% of Americans in a recent poll said they'd be willing to vote for a Democrat. They're getting their ass handed to them. And Joe Rogan made a point, instead of pivoting and getting off the X, they're doubling down on trans insanity and all the crap that goes with it. So anyway, moving along, more on Tulsi. Tulsi Gabbard is no one's puppet. She'll make a great DNI. We elected Trump. We trust his judgment. Confirmed Tulsi now. Of course, that happened. This was yesterday. This is a good response on her part to being accused of being a Russian puppet, a Trump puppet, and so on.
Before I close, I want to warn the American people who are watching at home. You may hear lies and smears in this hearing that'll challenge my loyalty to and my love for our country. Those who oppose my nomination imply that I am loyal to something or someone other than God, my own conscience, and the Constitution of the United States. Accusing me of being Trump's puppet, Putin's puppet, Assad's puppet, a guru's puppet, Modi's puppet, not recognizing the absurdity of simultaneously being the puppet of 5 different puppet masters. The same tactic was used against President Trump and failed. The American people elected President Trump with a decisive victory and mandate for change. The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet.
Again, another great response on her part. Here's a quick one from Senator Tim Shee. Proud to cast my vote today for Tulsi Gabbard. Known Tulsi since he was stationed in Hawaii as a SEAL. Is 16 seconds.
I was proud to just cast my vote for Tulsi Gabbard. We confirmed her in the Senate just moments ago. She can do a hell of a job at DNI. She's going to disrupt a very sclerotic community, and she's going to put America first again. So proud to have given her my support. She can do a great job. Congrats, Tulsi.
Right on. It's fantastic. So here's one of the worst offenders and biggest pieces of shit in the government who voted against Tulsi, votes against everything that's pro-America. And he's, oh, by the way, he's also part of Pam Bondi's investigation and Doge's investigation. They're teaming up on this, by the way, to find out how people like him, Nancy Pelosi, the bartender, the brain dead bartender from New York, on $174,000 a year, are all multi-millionaires. I saw the numbers. I can't remember. Mitch McConnell's worth something like 70, 80 million. Peglosi's worth something like 200 million. But this is how over the hill he is. He needs to be put out to pasture. He has these constant glitches and freezes. This was not too long ago. There's been several since then. 35 seconds.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
I hope that's a no.
We need a minute.
No, he has actually said he is running in 2020.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
Inspired by Joe Biden, I guess. Hey, he can be president. Okay. He's had a TIA.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's just disgusting. So here's a reaction from somebody from Kentucky. And again, these clowns, they've been installed. They have not been legitimately elected. Ever since Woodrow Wilson, our elections have been skewed and stolen. So she says it quite eloquently here in 25 seconds.
I'm from Kentucky, and I've got to say, Mitch McConnell's no vote on Tulsi Gabbard's nomination is a disgrace. This isn't about what's best for the country. It's about clinging to the same old political games. Tulsi has served this nation with honor, and Kentuckians respect that. Mitch? He's more interested in protecting the swamp than representing the people who put him in office. This vote doesn't reflect Kentucky values at all. It reflects his own self-interest, and we see right through it.
Amen to that. And so this is the last one from chapter 1 tonight. Dear America, this is your new DNI, Tulsi Gabbard. We are so back. 1 minute.
Get
we demonetized Survival Dispatch News ourselves. And I guarantee you the second that this episode wraps up because of that song, I'm going to get an email that says, you can't monetize this, or even worse, they're going to say, your video has been blocked because of copyrighted material.
Right.
You can dispute it or you can trim it out. It's every single night from these assholes. So I don't give a shit about something like that. I'll go and you know, trim it out afterwards. It's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. But it doesn't get you strikes most of the time, knock on wood, because we can't afford more strikes. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 1 on Tulsi Gabbard. Jeff, do you want to make any comments before we roll into chapter 2?
No, I'm just going to get a refill.
All right. So we have a short message here from our friends at Sawyer Products, and we will be right back with the biggest, most jam-packed chapter 2 in the history of survival dispatch news.
The Sawyer Mini is the most versatile personal filtration system available. It's a perfect solution for backpacking, hiking, hunting, fishing, scouting, international travel, and emergency preparedness. At a mere 2 ounces, the Mini fits in the palm of your hand and can filter up to 100,000 gallons of water from any freshwater lake, river, or stream. The Sawyer Mini has a 0.1 micron absolute pore size. It was tested to 10 million parts of bacteria and 1 million parts of protozoa without a single breakthrough. This is the highest level filters can be tested to, so we're confident these are the highest rates of filtration available.
All right, so here we go. We're going to dive right into chapter 2, try to get through all the content as fast as we can. Lots of important information to pass on. First one, President Trump on meeting with Putin. 20-second video.
Dealing with President Putin largely on the phone, and we ultimately expect to meet. In fact, we expect that he'll come here and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia. The first time we'll meet in Saudi Arabia, see if we can get something done. But we want to end that war. That war is a disaster.
All right, and another video related to the Ukraine-Russian war. President Trump just confirmed Ukraine will not join NATO. 15 seconds.
Today saying that he thinks it's unlikely or impractical. I think probably that's true. I think long before President Putin, they said there's no way they'd allow that. This has been going on for many, many years. They've been saying that for a long time.
So that clearly is one of Russia's primary demands. So, Jeff, I just played a couple of videos of President Trump speaking today with regards to his phone call with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
And okay. All right. So do you want to add anything to that before we move on?
No, I think people need to understand historical context of what's going on with Ukraine. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukraine had nukes, and we cut a deal with Russia, the Russian Federation at the time, and Ukraine, and we said, look, you give up your nukes, the West will guarantee your security. And then we went to Russia and said, okay, we'll guarantee that they don't become, you know, a Western power, that they will remain essentially neutral. And everybody did that. Well, then we said, hey, why don't you join NATO? And of course, Russia's going, whoa, time out. That wasn't the deal. And that's what led to the invasion, because we said we will not expand NATO to your borders, but we did it with Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. I mean, they're right on Russia's borders. And then we took Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Poland, but they are not on Russia's borders. But I think Ukraine was a bridge too far for the Russians, saying, okay, NATO is our primary adversary, and now you want to basically take over this big country right on our southern flank after saying you wouldn't do it. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. So
Great.
Are they assholes? Absolutely. The Russians are dicks. But on this one, yeah, they kind of have a point.
Yeah, I appreciate the summary, Jeff. That was really well said.
Well, let's not forget that we also overthrew a Ukrainian president back in the day who was elected legitimately and was somewhat pro-Russian, and we had him overthrown.
All right, appreciate that. So moving on to Senator Kennedy gave a good speech yesterday. It's 1 minute and 53 seconds. I may or may not play the whole video. Here we go.
It strikes me as breathtakingly ironic. The cynic might say cynical, that the people who are screaming so loudly about President Trump's decision to audit federal spending are the very same people under President Biden who wanted to hire 80,000 new IRS agents with guns
87,000
to audit the American people. As I've said before, if it weren't for double standards, there wouldn't be any standards at all in this town. The battle lines are drawn, Mr. President. The battle lines are drawn. Some of my colleagues have decided to support the bureaucracy and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. That's what they've done. And some of the same people, it's not just my Democratic colleagues.
Yeah, he's right. It's also rhinos as well. They don't want their slush funds shut down. They don't want people to know all the underhanded things that they did. Of course, a bunch of stuff has already been, put into the public domain, which is scratching the surface. But this has got to end. And I think this is going to be the death of, rhinos and Democrats as far as taking that money on the side is concerned. I just noticed when I was queuing up stuff for the balance of this chapter that I do have a picture with 4 people in particular that are being investigated in the Senate and House of Representatives for kickbacks. And Trump even said it today. There's no way that these people got that rich without kickbacks. So here's a good one with Scott.
Insider trading.
Yeah, that too. So whatever they're paying Scott Jennings at CNN to be on Newsnight with Abby Phillips is not enough. The nonsense this alpha has to put up with every single night, unbelievable. The guy's super smart, very articulate, quick on his feet, absolutely just smokes all of the betas and crying woke people on CNN. I actually enjoy watching his segments just because. This is 1 minute and 30 seconds. I may or may not play the whole video.
Yeah. Couple things. Number one, you guys are way out over your skis with accusations and innuendo. You have no way. I mean, what you're essentially alleging would be the biggest corruption in any of our lifetimes. You have no way in the world of making those accusations in a credible way, but yet you're out here doing it. Number one. Number two, on the Treasury
I
Department.
Just to clarify, because I also think you're accusing me of saying that these things are happening. I'm just saying.
No, did you hear what they just said?
Well,
they literally just
said.
But I was going to let you finish. The biggest corruption we've ever seen.
I was going to hold on, Bakari. Scott, what I said was that Elon Musk's companies were being investigated by the government. The people investigating him have been fired. Their offices disbanded. Those are both facts. So the question is, how do we know that Elon is not benefiting from it? And the answer is we don't know.
But if you're going to accuse me of that, please, Scott, tell me what I said that was incorrect.
You just said that Elon Musk is working.
By the way, a couple days ago, Elon Musk put a halt to any money from the federal government to any of his businesses. And
it's subsidies. He still legitimately gets paid for his launch services for putting spy satellites up.
Yeah, but he's not getting any grants, subsidies, loans, no special treatment whatsoever. So that's pretty unfounded on her part. And this guy here is a clown as well, but we don't have too much left in this, another 40 seconds or so.
At the behest of the president, and what would amount to the biggest corruption scheme to enrich himself.
What did I say that was incorrect?
We've ever seen. And I think you're out over your skis.
Was he under investigation by the FAA?
I think you guys are over.
Was he under investigation?
Before you blanket you guys, I made it very clear based on images and data and the transparency that we have that USAID's resources that have been halted in place are resulting in massive waste.
And why? Because Marco Rubio issued a waiver. He issued a waiver on the first day for all humanitarian and medicine. So why aren't they delivering it? Whose fault is it?
All right. So number one, I want to say, just because the old Biden admin decides to investigate somebody doesn't mean they're guilty of anything. As a matter of fact, they're probably innocent, and they were being framed. So the Democrats always do this, right? As soon as somebody, if they can get them accused of something and they get the headline from it, then the sheeple who follow them buy into the bullshit and they get that headline, which is why you see on Survival Dispatch News, the truth is a footnote, find it here, because the Democrats, they just want to spew that type of garbage out there, number one. Number two, she's trying to say that shutting down USAID, it is not USAID, as you've pointed out before, it is somehow causing more government waste. Connect the dots on that, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, first of all, FAA investigating Elon. They wouldn't give him launch authority for his Starship because, you're going to love this one, he had to prove to them that when the booster came back down to Earth, this is before they were catching it, that it wouldn't land on a whale.
Yep, I know.
Okay. So, they did the math and they did all this stuff. They said, okay, the odds of it landing on a whale are about 1 in 4 billion. Okay, there you go. And then it was the EPA saying, well, you flood the launch pad with water. What if that water's contaminated and damages the marsh around Boca Chica where they launch these things? He goes, the water is water, and the fuel that comes off of these boosters is water and carbon dioxide. So there's no heavy metals, there's no mercury, and they had to jump through all these hoops, and it was just the Biden administration trying to keep him from meeting his schedule for getting the Starship, Starliner, where the hell it's called, flying and tested. So yeah, was it bullshit? Absolute bullshit. Should they have been fired for it? Absolutely, somebody should have been fired for it. But if people think that Elon Musk is getting rich by trimming the government, absolutely not. I mean, he's taken his valuable time away from all the companies he runs. Just so, and they're like they said, yeah, he's worth $400 billion. He's going to get into Treasury so he can steal your grandmother's $694, Social Security check.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we're back to the Marxist playbook, which says accuse your adversary of doing everything that you're actually doing. And Obama is the king of that.
Well, they can't defend the stuff that he's exposing, so they're attacking the person exposing it. If a cop, it's like the guy who gets caught cheating on his wife, rather than defend himself, he goes, yeah, but your friend followed me, and how creepy is that? Well, yeah, she followed you to a motel where you were banging your secretary. But she's the bad person for catching you?
Right. It's couldn't be more accurate. All right. So moving on here, this is kind of interesting. We're seeing a lot of global fallout from the fraud going on at USAID and how it's affecting other countries. I don't know if you caught it or not, but there were 35,000 Jordanians lost their job because of the USAID money stopped flowing to them for the Jordanian government. I mean, we have been supporting everybody and everything around the world except for Americans.
Yeah.
And it's just to weaken us, right? This is part of the Soros WEF plan to weaken us. So Prime Minister of Slovakia penned an open letter to Elon Musk, asks for information on all grants and funding from USAID to Slovakian NGOs and journalists who may have used the funds to sabotage Slovakia. I mean, this is truly a fraud of a global nature.
Legit question.
Biggest ever in history. And again, we've barely scratched the surface of this.
But Slovakia is a conservative government. Czechoslovakia is split in two. The Czech Republic is more leftist, liberal. Slovakia has and always has been conservative. And so if anyone's going to have money used against them, it's going to be Slovakia. So I don't blame them. Sort of right there with Hungary and Orban.
All right, so moving on to the next one here. So I've got a video of Elon in the Oval Office with Trump yesterday and Little X. It's 2 minutes, 44 seconds. Probably won't play the entirety of this one.
So the at a high level, if you say what is the goal of Doge and I think significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, FX, we'd have to. Sorry. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy.
So, not to nitpick, but we're not a democracy. There were big difference between democracy and a constitutional republic. Just to be clear, democracy, that originated in ancient Greece, is mob rule.
Yeah.
If we were a democracy, your vote and my vote would never count, because LA County, Cook County, and New York City would elect every single president because of the number of people in those locations. So I'm nitpicking at that, but what he's saying is correct. I mean, I watched Taj last night, Jeff.
We are a democratic republic in that we are a republic. We have representatives who represent the voters in DC, and those representatives are elected democratically, meaning the citizens vote for them. We are not a democracy, because a democracy would be everybody votes on every issue, and 51% could vote themselves the wealth of the other 49, which is why democracies never succeed. That's why you need a republic, which is the rule of law.
We are not a democracy.
No, we are not.
Any way whatsoever. And I see some people disagree in the chat. They don't know what a democracy is. Democracy means 50+1. Full stop. That's all it is. Democracy is horrible. Again, it's mob rules. And that's why the founders went with the constitutional republic.
Well,
So,
they asked.
this is civics 101 stuff.
Yeah, someone asked Ben Franklin when they came out of the Constitutional Convention, they said, "What kind of government did you give us?" And he says, "We gave you a republic if you can keep it."
Correct. Yeah. So good point on 999 here as well. So anyway, the point that I wanted to make on this video, Jeff, was his comment as far as transparency and responding to the electorate. And the old Biden admins has stonewalled the public the entire time they were installed. Obama did it as well. What the? We just got kicked off of Rumble.
Rumble?
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's got to be a glitch.
I don't know, but check this out. I kid you
Speaking
not.
as someone who was theoretically, technically, I was one of the bureaucracy, but I did not pretend that I didn't work for the American public. And I would go out and talk to people, and I said, "Hey, look, I work for you. I'm trying to protect the country."
Yeah, exactly. So here, look at the top right corner. It looks like the stream was ended or deleted on Rumble. Rumble delete end streams that don't go live within 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. Well, obviously that didn't happen. So
that's a glitch.
And Katie saying that she can see us. I'm not kidding you right now. I am so fucking sick and tired of social media platform issues this week and people trying to shut us down and silence us. And that's precisely why I'm doing Liberty Club for Todd. I'm not listen, I did.
Well, I've got Rumble running on another web browser. It's still going.
Yeah. So who knows? I'm still looking at the error message on my screen here, but I exited high tech because I'm sick and tired of dealing with the bullshit. And if it wasn't Todd Callender and it wasn't an opportunity to build a next generation social media site to go against these guys, I would have said no, because you get no sleep. It's brutal. in the tech world managing large projects like this. And then you get people who don't understand technical stuff that have been scammed so many times by other people. They look at you sideways when you say, look, you can't do this, but you can do this. They've been told so many lies by the tech industry that they don't even believe the honest people, which is infuriating. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent here, but I am seriously over the fucking problems with social media.
We are not off Rumble. You may be off Rumble. It's still on.
They sent something to StreamYard. I'm looking at it's flashing red now on my screen. So either way, it's a glitch with their platform.
No, I'm looking at Rumble on a separate server, a separate browser, and it's.
So am I. I have all 8 platforms going on 3 monitors in front of me, but I'm over this problems with social media sites. Bunch of bullshit. Yeah. It's gonna make my blood pressure go up, make me pissy. All right, next thing up. Joe Rogan says Democrats are going to keep losing because they're not correcting course, and that's very, very accurate and true. Well, look at this. They had a video on this page when I checked it earlier. It's no longer there. All right, so move on to the next one. Over 3 times more people in DC are Googling criminal defense lawyer than anywhere else in the United States. Look at that.
Well, that'll tell you.
Look at the difference down to Nebraska at 29, Louisiana at 28.
That's a clue.
Isn't that an interesting stat? I mean, definitely.
Oh, it's like every time Obama gave a speech, gun sales went up.
Yeah. So this is a 9-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole video, but I've done some research into this and before today as well. And it's time. I think that there's something here in it, so that's why I mentioned it. So you thought Epstein's Island was the only one? Keep digging. Richard Branson hosted sex trafficking cult events on his private island. He was friends with Diddy and Epstein. It's 9 minutes and change. I'm just going to play a couple minutes so people get the gist of it. Go to Illuminati bot on X if you want, or go to Patreon and download our daily sit rep. Has all this stuff in it.
Tucked away in the British Virgin Islands, Necker Island is one of the world's most luxurious private getaways, and the residence of none other than Sir Richard Branson. Dripping with opulence down to the last detail, this island has hosted A-list celebrities and even members of royalty. So it's really no surprise that behind the scenes, it has seen its fair share of disturbing incidents. From guests using the staff as human targets to wild parties involving a sex cult, this is the curious story of Necker Island. A tropical paradise and a Caribbean hell rolled into one. The unusual treatment of Necker Island staff. On Necker Island, Richard Branson's high-end spot in the Virgin Islands, you're looking at a hefty $40,000 per night for the A-list experience. But here's the lowdown. Means of all that luxury, things get a bit, well, strange. The staff here go to some pretty unusual lengths to make sure the rich and famous guests get whatever they want. And what they want are often eccentric demands, to put it mildly. In an exclusive revelation within a new BBC documentary, Millie, an accountant on Necker Island's accounts team, revealed a pretty shocking anecdote from the island. She allowed guests to indulge in sushi served off her naked midriff during a birthday celebration. What began as a mere suggestion of eating sushi off a hot girl to guests by Branson unfolded into an uncomfortable reality of the Necker staff. But that's not all. There's an unusual culinary rule that exists on the island. The staff serving food need to match the sexy vibes of the delicious dishes they're dishing out. And here's where it gets interesting. Apparently, Branson takes on the role of a matchmaker, keeping a watchful eye on the gorgeous and single girls in his team. Now, does that seem weird to you? Well, brace yourself because it gets even more bizarre. The island's dark side stretches beyond the kitchen, where guests are encouraged to turn golf into a spectacle, aiming balls at human targets. And on top of that, in the game of sumo golf, British guest Patch and others recall when they happily bombarded a bouncing staff member on an offshore trampoline, using golf balls made from soluble fish food. Patch, recounting the unusual game, revealed the discomfort within the human target's costume, necessitating an ice pack for relief. If you ask me, this paints quite a creepy picture of Necker Island's unconventional and, at times, unsettling activities. Allegations of Richard Branson's inappropriate behavior. In the sun-soaked retreat of Necker Island, a terrible scandal emerged when Antonia Janae, the Joss Stone backing singer, claimed in a Facebook post that Sir Richard Branson made unwanted advances towards her during a 2010 party on the island. Janae described a disconcerting encounter with the man, stating that as they were by the bar saying goodbye, Branson came up to her and intrusively placed his head between her cleavage, audaciously mimicking boat engine noises. It was totally out of the blue, she confided to the media. His behavior was disgusting, she added. To make matters even worse, Janae says the billionaire Virgin boss also begged her to go topless at a party on his Necker Island. Now, in response, Sir Richard asserted that he had no recollection of the incident.
Of course he didn't.
He was drunk.
Of course he didn't, but I'm sure there's video.
Yeah, he motorboated her boobs.
Anyway, this will be interesting to see how this unfolds. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff.
Rich people who can get away with it do all sorts of weird, perverted crap.
Yep, ain't that the truth? All right, next one up, new NARA emails further confirm that the classified documents case against President Trump was a sham prosecution that involved the Biden White House from the start, long before NARA's official referral of classified documents to DOJ for investigation. I mean, the corruption of Obama's third term is just, I believe, unparalleled in history. The only thing would come close would be the assassination of JFK, I suppose.
Color me shocked.
Yeah, it's, and I was just getting ready to say, I think we're entering this age of exposés. We're going to see more stuff come out. We're going to be shining lights in the darkest corners over the next 4 years. And I think that we're turning a corner. We were at our veterinary surgeons today in St. Augustine, and we were like his last patient. Bailey blew out her ACL, and she's got her kneecap is disintegrated. And we've been through this multiple times with pit bulls. It's not a cheap thing either. It's $5,000 per knee. Billy, our last male pit bull who died was 2 knees, $10,000 in 6 months. But anyway, we had a great conversation, and he was saying to me how people in his circle have their eyes wide open now, that they all the propaganda that's been fed to them over the years, they're questioning it. They don't believe it anymore. So the age of exposés, that's my prediction. All right, next one up. Alex Marlowe, lawfare judges making unprecedented efforts to shut down Trump's agenda. Well, this was the headline story last night. We discussed it, at length. And at the end of the day, my opinion is unchanged on this, that we need some sort of decision or direction from SCOTUS, because per the Constitution, everybody but SCOTUS in the court system are inferior. The Constitution's word, not my word, number one. Right. Number two, all courts other than SCOTUS are a construct of Congress. Congress created them. Yep. Okay. They fall underneath Congress. So these judges, these pissant judges, like the guy in Rhode Island, does not have constitutional authority to stop an executive like President Trump. And they see themselves as a co-equal branch of government. They're not.
No.
There's SCOTUS, Congress, executive. So personally, I think we're going to need something from SCOTUS basically saying, unless the administration, somebody in the administration has broken a law in your jurisdiction, you can't do this stuff, because they're way out of their purview. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that. We beat it to death last night, but
we did, but I think it boils down to, you cannot have a local judge tell the president of the United States what he can and cannot do. No more than I think I said it last night, you can have the justice of the peace make a ruling in Mammoth, Arizona that covers the entire state of Arizona. No. Right. And the president's authority is from Article 2 of the Constitution. And Article 2 of the Constitution does not include the words, unless a local judge thinks it's not good. No. And I think Trump, rightfully so, should just ignore them and say, you do not have the authority because your ruling did not specifically say what law I broke. And if I did not break a law, you have no authority to tell me to do squat. So shut the hell up.
Yeah, exactly. Just had to boot 3 trolls off of our main YouTube channel. Anyway, Yeah, well, 3 back to back. Boom, boom, boom. All right, next one up. No surprise here from Newsmax Gallup poll. Biden viewed least favorably among living presidents. And here's an example of a skewed poll. 39% of respondents say they have a favorable view of Biden. Not even close. I just saw a legit poll 2 days ago that put the number at 13%. You know, these professional pollsters are just another lever, you know, that the bad guys pull.
13%, those are all illegal aliens, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. All right. Next one up. This is Newsmax as well. And this is a discussion on the federal judges blocking President Trump. It's 8 minutes. I'm only going to play a portion of this.
As you just heard, Trump talking about the uselessness of the federal government and how they're fighting at every turn they get, and about the lawfare that the left is resorting to in this desperate attempt to stop him.
Right now, we're seeing a major test to the rule of law as federal judges continue blocking President Trump's plans to overhaul the government.
A federal judge is blocking the Trump administration from offering more buyouts to federal employees.
Another federal judge blocked Trump's executive order to ignore the Constitution and end birthright citizenship.
It's now not, because that too has been blocked by a federal judge. You know what else got blocked today? Another one.
Just insufferable. These people have massively overstepped. And on top of all the other orders, today, a federal judge decided what a government agency apparently can put on its own website, overriding Trump's order to take things down related to gender ideology over at HHS. Judge John Bates, and this decision really kind of made me look into this guy a little bit and who these judges actually are. You know what he was? He was on the FISA court. Remember that? That's that court that had over 300,000 abuses of our constitutional protection. He was a judge there. He was also the judge who ruled against Trump in his first term that kept DACA in place and even it opened up to new illegals. Funny enough, on February 7th, that's the judge, though, that declined to issue a restraining order against DOJ accessing the Treasury records. But if this doesn't show you how incestuous this whole system is, the Democrats just walked across the hall and shopped another judge. This one, appointed by Obama, Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer from the Southern District of New York. That's the guy who blocked the DOJ from accessing the Treasury Department records. He's given well over $20,000 to Democrats, from Obama, the DNC, Biden, Chuck Schumer, John Kerry, even going all the way back to Clinton. The man, Clinton, not the wife, Clinton. Also, turns out his wife, Emily, appears to have been on the advisory board of Apollo Shop, which is, this is not a joke, folks, funds people making art in the mountains since 1969. And guess how they got funded? USAID.
Yeah, this rabbit hole is deeper than anybody can imagine. And I think I've got an article up here with some recent comments from Elon as far as his plans for the next 4 months, but I'll save that till it comes up. But this is some great news right here. It's not like these politicians started companies or were NBA all-stars. So where did they get all the money? Does anybody know? Nancy Pelosi, annual salary $223K, net worth $202 million. Chuck Schumer, annual salary $210K, net worth $75 million. Mitch McConnell, annual salary $200K, net worth $95 million. Elizabeth Warren, aka Liawatha, annual salary $285K, net worth $67 million. This is pretty interesting because Trump has flat out said if they find anybody coloring outside the lines on this stuff, he's going to refer them to the DOJ and Pam Bondi for criminal charges. So,
oh, absolutely.
All right.
At best, it's insider trading.
Correct. But these are payoffs. This is the loot, right? You know, 200 billion sent to Ukraine. It's actually 300, but they want to claim it's 200. But on the other end, they're saying, well, we only got 100 billion. Well, that's because the other 100 billion went
back
dark channels back to politicians. Raskin's got 30 million discovered hiding in an offshore account. Can't explain where it came from. I mean, the thickest thieves. But here's the one I was referring to with regards to Elon. Elon Musk has told people close to him that he will spend the next 4 months working 24/7 on Doge to cut up the $2 trillion from the federal budget. He is going all in and even sleeps in his White House office per Fox Business.
Good.
God bless this guy. I mean, it's great. So, speaking of Raskin the asshole, here he is. Jamie Raskin wishes he could impeach fake presidents, attacks Elon Musk for being an immigrant. 1 minute, 11 seconds. This guy is such a scumbag.
I wish Article 2 gave us the power to impeach fake presidents too.
Fake presidents. Another one. They're all the same. They all eat too much soy and have no testosterone.
Now, I know he's not a friend, but we can still call him a fag and a retard, right?
Well, I asked for clarification on Trump's executive order on that, and yes, we can call him a fag and a retard.
Okay, good.
Putting in articles tomorrow morning to impeach Elon Musk, who couldn't run for president because he wasn't born in the United States, and he couldn't get a security clearance, and he didn't win an election. He never ran for office, and he's collecting billions of dollars in unconstitutional foreign government emoluments all over the world, and in violation of the domestic emoluments clause, collecting billions of dollars from the American taxpayers at the same time. But my friends, Congress has the lawmaking power. It's the power of the president only to faithfully execute the laws that we've passed. The president of the United States himself could not destroy the CFPB. So where in the hell does Elon Musk thinks he's got the power to do it? Right?
He doesn't, but Trump does, and Trump did.
Yeah. He's working for free. Trump's working for free. And at the end of the day, USAID, it was started by executive order 1961 by JFK. It can be smoked by executive order. Yeah. And I mean, these people are in such a panic because of the fraud being exposed. Scumbags, absolute scumbags. There's no other way to describe it at all. Here's some news from earlier today that's pretty awesome. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Ukraine. 1 minute, 10 seconds.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. Chasing this illusionary goal will only prolong the war and cause more suffering. A durable peace for Ukraine must include robust security guarantees to ensure that the war will not begin again. This must not be Minsk 3.0. That said, the United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under.
So he was overseas, obviously, and his audio kept kind of cutting in and out, but we got the gist of what he was saying. He did not say a single thing there that I disagree with. I've been saying right from the beginning that we should not have been involved in this. There's the only one thing that's coming out of this Ukraine-Russia deal is the intel that we're gathering on fighting drone wars. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other answers to it. What do you got? 600,000 men killed now? It's ridiculous.
Wait, that's just on one side. No, there's been over 1 million, over 1 million casualties. But them saying, I want the Crimea back. Okay, the Crimea was never really Ukrainian. It was the Ottoman Turks. The Russians took it from them in the 1700s, and they held on to it. It only went to Ukraine in the 1950s when Nikita Khrushchev, transferred it from the Russian SSR to the Ukrainian SSR in celebration of the 200th or 300th anniversary of the Cossacks pledging fealty to the Tsar. Okay, it was just a political show. But Ukraine saying we want you Crimea back is like a 20-year prostitute saying, I want my virginity back. You can wish it, it ain't happening.
That's a colorful way of putting it, Jeff. All right. So we frequently speak about the mental illness amongst liberals, and it's not just in our country. 62% of white liberal women in America admit to taking SSRIs, so mood-enhancing drugs, keep them from slitting their wrists. If they 62% admit to it, what's the real number? 82% is pretty high. So left-wing outlet Axios has published an article claiming that mental health experts are seeing a huge increase in patients who are Democrat voters complaining of despair and burnout in the wake of President Trump winning the election and taking office for the second time. The piece claims that the worn-out whiners are whining about not being able to keep up with the pace of Trump's rapid-fire policies. Flood the zone. The article notes mental health professionals say even people who don't see themselves as directly affected by administrative actions are feeling frazzled by the dizzying pace and Trump's enduring ability to command attention. They may feel it through the venting of a spouse, the distress of a neighbor with a trans child, or an anxious friend who works for a government contractor. It hilariously adds. The piece further states that Andrea Bonnoir, a Georgetown University psychology professor, said she's seen an uptick in patients, particularly Democrats, expressing a sense of burnout, guilt, and despair at losing an old way of life. It adds that Bonnier pointed to federal workers who aren't sure if they'll be let go, as well as others concerned about their immigration status or worried about loved ones whose refugee flights were canceled. It feels no matter which way you go, oh my God, I'm being ruled by a very different system that I thought I was living in. New York-based neuropsychologist Sanam Hafiz told Axios. I won't read the rest of it. If anybody wants to read it, just go grab the sit rep. But I'd love to hear your comments on the mental illness running amok amongst the woke progressives. You're on mute, Jeff.
Absolutely no surprise. I mean, we've said it forever that liberalism is a mental disorder, and this only proves it. They can't cope. They can't think rationally. You look at Tulsi Gabbard and RFK. They were heroes of the left until 9 months ago, and then they become pariahs. They're not sane. They're not logical. So when you're insane and you're confronted with sanity, you have to go see a shrink.
Yep, that's the truth. All right, next one up here from the Big Balls audit findings. This is the guy who's been pouring billions, meaning George Soros, behind so many Democrat and leftist DA judges' campaigns, and has been funneling money back to himself through the corrupt Democrat-controlled bureaucracies for decades. So this is a snippet of some quotes from Soros, a kind of God he once wrote. If truth be known, I carried some rather potent messianic fantasies with me from childhood, which I felt I had to control, otherwise they might get me in trouble. When asked by Britain's independent newspaper to elaborate on that passage, Soros said, it's sort of a disease when you consider yourself some kind of God, the creator of everything, but I feel comfortable about it now since I began to live it out. Those unfamiliar with Soros would probably dismiss the statement out of hand, but for those who have followed his career, truth, the guy is the very definition of a megalomaniac.
He's evil.
Yep. He has got a God complex, and he was a Nazi sympathizer during World War II, and he has made no qualms about it, that he wants to destroy America so that we can have this one world government, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So him and his son, Alex Soros, have been deeply entwined in our policies and all kinds of stuff here in America. And that's okay with the Democrats, but Elon Musk working for free and canceling all subsidies to his companies is somehow wrong. I mean, typical Democrat crap and Rhino crap as well.
Yeah.
Well, this is glorious. President Trump just seized more than $80 million from New York City's bank account that would have been used to house illegal aliens. The money came from FEMA. Arrests need to be made. So how many times did we hear the upside down toilet brush, Karen Jean-Pierre, say that not a penny went from FEMA towards these illegal invaders? How many times did we hear it from old Biden himself, And it's basically anything they say in that regard, you could just automatically assume the exact opposite is the truth. This is glorious that he got a judge that basically said, hey, unless Donald Trump is somehow breaking a law, he, as the executive, he has the right to take money back that's been given out by government departments under his purview and give it back to the taxpayers, give it back to the treasury. So not complicated, right? This one is pretty crazy. This is the stuff here that makes my blood boil. Big scandal unfolding in Penfield Central School District in New York. A kindergartner reportedly came home with a book about attending an LGBTQ Pride Parade, which, by the way, Pride Month has been removed by Google from Google Calendar. Just happened. Which parade. Let's start this over again. Kindergartner report came home with a book about attending the Alphabet People Parade, which included pictures of naked people and men in bondage fetish gear. Parents showed up to demand an explanation, and the board walked out. Why is the board ignoring parents' concerns over their children being exposed to pornographic material at school? These people need to go to jail. Just fast forward through this, and there you go. So if you look up front against the green.
They all need to be recalled.
No, they need to be charged. This is criminal. If somebody was to walk up to a child in any public setting and expose themselves, that's against the law. And what these schools are doing in this regard, that's against the law. They need to be formally charged, go to trial, convicted, and pay a price for this. It's sick.
Contributing to the delinquency of a minor used to be a crime.
It's sick. It's absolutely sick. All right, pivoting back to Doge and the money. Pentagon burns taxpayer cash, $1,300 per coffee cup, 8,000% markup on soap dispensers. And it goes on and on and on. This is what the Democrats are defending. This is their giant slush fund where they pay somebody an egregious amount like that, and then half of it comes back to them and goes into their pocket. It's going to be uncovered. The truth always comes out one way or another, and it's not going to be pretty for these clowns at all.
It's like the movie Independence Day. Who paid for all this? What do you think? $400 for a toilet seat? $700 for a hammer?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so cry harder. Chuck Schumer's melting down again. Well, because again, they're cutting into his slush fund. 27-second video.
Objectively, I think most senators would agree there are better choices to lead national intelligence. You know what my guess is? If we had a secret ballot, Gabbard might get 10 votes and 40 against her.
What a crock of shit. What a clown.
From the other side. People know. That's why they raise so many questions. But Donald Trump and Elon Musk evidently threatened them. And they're changing their view.
Where's your evidence of that, Chuck? Where's your evidence that Elon Musk or Donald Trump threatened anybody? Let's see the evidence. Unreal. Bunch of liars. All right, lawfare. Before Judge McConnell ordered Trump to restore USAID funding and called him a tyrant, he was accused of buying his lifetime judicial appointment. He spent over $700,000 contributing to Democrats and funneled thousands to his state's 2 senators who recommended his appointment to Obama. They refused to recuse themselves from his confirmation vote. And there you have it right there. The corruption is so widespread. And again, the Democrats and people who support the Democrats arguing against this stuff are not on the right side of history. They're downright evil. All right, this is good. Carolyn Levitt shuts CNN hack Caitlin Collins down after whining about an AP reporter losing access over Gulf of America.
I don't agree. Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight.
First of all, let me back this up for a second. I want to point something out. To see how the outer edges of her lip on both sides hang down like this. Do you know what that's from, Jeff?
Being smug?
No, this is a woman who's had all kinds of fillers pumped into her lips in the past.
Well, maybe.
And it's either broken down or been removed, but what it does, it deforms the skin like that. Sometimes it forms a shelf on top of it. The only reason I know is because my wife's a licensed esthetician. But whenever I see somebody like this, it just makes me shake my head now that I know what it is.
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the president of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus. Many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the president questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office. And you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this will—
Let's keep in mind, these are the same people who a couple years ago said that anytime you reference a black person, you have to spell the word black with a capital B to show prominence, but you should never put a capital W on white. For the,
Exactly.
yeah, for the AP's, you know, I guess whatever they call it, vocabulary guide or something to that effect.
Style guide.
retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made—
They don't want to call it that because Donald Trump was the one who did it. But Apple and Google Maps and everybody else is on board. They've changed it.
that the official designation in the geographical identification name server, and Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
Hey, Jeff, did you happen to catch Keir Starmer, that loser who's the Prime Minister of Great Britain, saying that they were not? Yeah, so he said, we are not going to refer to it as Gulf America. We're going to refer to it as the Gulf of Mexico. And somebody on Trump's team sent him a picture, and it showed the English channel renamed the George Washington channel. And it said, if you don't get your shit together soon, we're going to rename the English channel the George Washington channel.
Well, it's called the French channel.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's now it's a French channel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So I got some news on this, and I've got a lot of emails from our followers regarding this particular topic. So Rep. Tim Burkett, I'll be introducing the Cartel Marquee and Reprisal Authorization Act of 2025, which would authorize Donald Trump to commission privately armed and equipped individuals or groups to seize persons and property of any cartel, cartel member, or cartel-linked organization. So this goes hand in hand with the mass deportations, by the way. So Lieutenant Colonel...
go ahead.
No, it was Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers, Major Mike Hall, and their entire crew have been working tirelessly on this after Trump got elected, even before he was appointed. And it's public knowledge now, we've known for several months, that the intention is to use the Democrat strategies against them, meaning that the Democrats funneled all this money to NGOs, which in turn used the money to facilitate the invasion of America. and then say, well, it wasn't us. You know, those are non-government organizations, and they tried to hide it through the funding in USAID. Donald Trump's not trying to hide the money, but they're going to utilize the same process to bulk up their numbers as far as the deportation headcount is concerned on the good guy side. And they're going to give money to NGOs that are favorable to the administration that will run this type of stuff that's specifically mentioned in this post. And there's lots of opportunity here for former military veterans, former law enforcement officers, licensed armed guards to participate in this. And some of these will be paying jobs, of course. And like I said, I've got a bunch of emails from people that I forwarded off to Major Mike Hall, but this is happening. This is absolutely happening, and this is how we get the numbers up right now. Tom Holman's not happy with the daily numbers, but it's not ICE's fault. It's a lack of manpower. So the way to bolster the 660,000 law enforcement officers, which I'd like to mention, during Trump's first tenure, we had almost double that many law enforcement agents, or officers, I should say, before the George Floyd BLM crap and defund the police happened and drove out a bunch of good cops. But anyway, I can say unequivocally this stuff is moving ahead full steam. I spoke to Doc and Mike Hall recently on this topic. I don't know if you want to add anything to it, but
well, two quick things. One, there's a historical precedence for this. They're called privateers. Britain did it. We did it. They're basically pirates sanctioned by governments to go attack and raid the ships of their enemies. Sir Francis Drake was one, and we've had them throughout history. But the other thing is, what they might want to consider is saying illegal aliens are fugitives, and therefore and you put a bounty on them and let bounty hunters pick them up.
And that's interesting because there's been quite a bit of chatter on back channels. We had dinner in Vegas with one of Trump's advisors, and he said it's no joke. There is legitimate talk of putting bounties on illegals and paying private groups, even one step beyond this, to get them the hell out of our country. So it'll be interesting to see how it ramps up. It's definitely going to be a heavy lift. All right. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt brings Doge receipts to counter reporters' hyperventilating questions about Elon Musk. Love it. This is the way. 56 seconds.
As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that Doge identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one. $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts.
All right. So we beat this topic to death, I think, Jeff. So I think we can put a wrap on chapter 2 for tonight, and I've got stuff queued up for chapter 3. We'll be right into it in just a second, right after a short 32-second message from our friends at Flex Industries.
AK Flex. AK Flex. The crazy part about this thing, it can fit in all platforms. This right here is in a 9mm. We running in the 7.62, 5.45, short, even in the Draco, the long 16-inch. AK Flex, baby.
So that's my buddy Reggie. We worked for a gun company for a short period of time together. He now does content for my buddy who owns Flex Industries. they've been into triggers for many years, and their manufacturing is top shelf. But Doug started this company 2 months ago, brought all of his triggers under one umbrella, flexindustries.com. There's also a link down below, discount code SD17, S as in Sam, D as in David, get 17% off. We do not collect any affiliate money from him. Doug is a personal friend of mine, and I want to see him succeed, and would really appreciate for any firearms enthusiast out there, go ahead, grab some of those triggers. They're legal in almost every state. There's the odd communist state that they're not. But for the most part, they're perfectly legal triggers. All right. Chapter 3, zany news, interesting news, humorous news, and memes. And the very first one is from a Canadian saying, Canada is preparing for war with the U.S. Not economic, I mean boots on the ground war. Do you know what an absolute, intolerable, and unhinged piece of shit you have to be for Canada to be ready to bitch slap you? So we love our Canadian cousins, most of them. But how delusional do you have to be to suggest that Canada is going to attack us? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's chapter 3. Chapter 3. Crazy, funny shit, right? And the NSFW warning, by the way, in chapter 3, do not proceed if you're easily offended. You don't want to be part of chapter 3 if that's the case. All right. So I'm assuming you're familiar with Alex Stein. The guy is a shit disturber of epic proportions. And this is classic Alex Stein. 1 minute, 15 seconds.
Big booty Latinas can stay. Protect big booty Latinas.
Man, what's up with that? Don't come over here disrespecting our women.
Well, I'm trying to protect them. I don't want them to get deported.
Fucking racist asshole.
How is that racist? I want big booty Latinas protected. Dude, I'm on your side. Dude, what are you doing?
You scared, my boy?
I'm not scared at all. What's going on?
You fucking push me.
Okay, I'm not touching you.
Push.
I'm trying to protect you. No, the fuck you're not. Yes, I am. You're a big booty Latina.
Hey, you say that one more time.
You.
If he says that one more
what I
time.
say, big booty Latina. What are you gonna do? Big booty Latina.
One more time.
Big booty Latina.
Say that one more time.
Big booty Latina.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Big booty Latina. Get to stay.
Let's go to the back right now. Hey, let's go to the back right now. I'll show you how much of a coward I am.
Oh, I'm real scared. I'm real scared. Protect her. I want to protect all big booty Latinas. If she's a 9, she's fine. Protect big booty Latinas.
He's calling me out, but he won't go to the back with me real quick.
The rest of us 2 twinks and some fat Mexican.
Fucking this fat Mexican in the back.
If there's a taco truck right there, maybe. We want to protect big booty Latinas under all costs. Big booty Latinas. Big booty Latinas are welcome to stay, not big booty Latinos. His ass, he's got to go.
Oh my God, Alex Stein is just freaking hilarious. God bless him. That's back home in Dallas, by the way. So from Juanita Broderick, we give 0 fucks if men want to dress like women. Just stay the hell out of women's bathrooms. Libs of TikTok. 2 men dressed up as women film a TikTok mocking women and girls who don't want men in their bathrooms.
Okay. Are you kidding? That's unfair. She made those. I need to calm down. Everything's fine.
Amanda.
I'm an adult.
Okay.
Are you kidding? That's unfair.
That's the Bud Light fag.
Oh, God.
In case anybody's wondering. Dylan something or other.
Whatever. Mulvaney and Mulrooney.
Yeah, something like that. All right. So you're living in the past. Oh, this one is freaking hilarious. 1 minute, 28 seconds. This is great.
In the grocery store, a little confused here. I was done shopping, right? What do you do when you're done shopping? You go get in the checkout line. So that's exactly what I did. I went and I got in the checkout line. Second I get in the checkout line, I hear from behind me, "Hey!" I turn around. It's this lady. She's standing probably 10 to 15 feet away from me, very far away from me. And she's wearing a mask. She goes, "Hey, I was standing in line. I was in front of you." In front of me? What? You're not in front of anyone. You're literally not in it. You're not ahead of anyone. You're living in the past. You're behind everyone. I just turned around and I said, "I'm sorry, man. I didn't see you. You were kind of far away. You can get in front of me if you want, but I'm not standing like all the way in the aisle behind you." She goes, "I'm not moving." Then I guess you're not checking out, bitch. So after she said that, I said, "Okay." And then I turned around and stayed in my spot. And then she called out to me again. "Hey, I said you were cutting. You're cutting." I turned around. Okay, all right, I'll get behind you. I'll get behind you. And then I got behind her, and then I did this. I've never seen someone leave so fast. We are in 2025. Okay, if you're still scared of COVID-19, I think that you just should not leave your house. Just don't leave your house. Don't leave. Okay, don't go into public. So this is in the grocery.
Classic stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely classic stuff. So some people may not realize, but we live here in the shark attack capital of the world. There's somewhere around 30 to 35% of the annual shark attacks happen between Flagler Beach and New Smyrna Beach here in Florida. So just a little bit north of us, a little bit south of us. The next thing that's interesting is most of those shark attacks are bull sharks. And unlike many other sharks, including great whites will, if they bite something and it's bony, they'll let it go. They might kill you in the process, but they don't like to eat bony stuff, whereas bull sharks will eat anything and everything, number one. Number two, mature bull sharks are like a 1/3 size great white. They look just like a great white, but they'd be 700 pounds-ish in that neighborhood. Here's the next part. Almost all of the shark attacks that we have off of our shore here are in waist deep water. And when you fly into Daytona, one of the landing patterns used to be to swing out over the Atlantic and then kind of follow ISB to the airport, so International Speedway Boulevard. And I had a penthouse condo down there back in the day, many years ago, 20 years ago. And I've got broad shoulders, so I like to sit in the aisle seat because if I go anywhere else, I'm literally squished in like this. So the people in the window seat, you come in that flying pattern and they look out and they go, "Oh, look at all the dolphins down there." And we think, those are not dolphins. Those are bull sharks. Dolphins, they have their own goofy way of swimming, much more intelligent than the sharks, but bull sharks will literally swim in formation towards a target. That's not hard to spot if you know what you're looking at. So check this out. Wait to see how shallow this water is and this bull shark getting this gator. There's no sound with this. So there was a little bit of life left in that gator.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but that's a great example of how shallow bull sharks will come in. Down at New Smyrna Beach, there's this island that everybody goes to on their boats on weekends and holidays. Pretty badass, called Disappearing Island because of the tide and stuff like that. When the tide goes out, the fish are trapped in the inlet, and the bull sharks will stay in there because they're smart. They know that when the tide goes out that it's time to eat, and that's a really dangerous time to be in the water, especially waist deep water. So all right, next one up here, 53 seconds.
That's fucking amazing. And then this other thing about Elon. Elon's going to steal everybody's money. He has $400 billion. I'm telling you, he's not going to steal your money. I'm telling you, that's not what he's doing. What he's doing is he's a super genius that's been fucked with. Okay. And when you've been fucked with by these nitwits that hide behind 3-letter agencies, and you're dealing with one of the smartest people alive, and he helps Donald Trump get into office, and he goes, "I want to find out what kind of corruption is really around." Well, you fucked up. You fucked up and picked the wrong psychopath on the spectrum, because he's gonna hunt you down. He's gonna find out what's going on, and that's good. That's good for everybody. That's how you should be looking at this. Like, wow, we have a brilliant mind that is examining these really fucking corrupt and goofy systems, and bringing in a bunch of psychopath wizards.
And by the way, Jeff, I see somebody on the Rumble chat said something about staying on the sand. So I saw Jaws in the 70s when I was pretty young, and scared me from the ocean for my entire life. So the only water sports that I participated in since I was a youngin' is taking showers. That's it for me in water sports.
And we appreciate that.
There you go. Oh my God, this next one's hilarious. Neighbor's dog is living the dream.
What the hell? Oh, it's one of those seat things?
Yeah, to take people downstairs.
Oh, God, for like old.
And figures to be a chubby bulldog.
Oh, yeah.
That's too freaking funny. Yeah, check this out. This is good. Beep. I'm sorry, the deep state isn't in right now and cannot take your call. However, your call may be important to us. Press 1 if you're a senator and we are currently blackmailing you. Press 2 if you work in media and shill for us. Press 3 if you're in Congress and we are bribing you. If you're an American taxpayer who wants their money back, please hang up now.
Yeah, sure.
Good metaphorical representation there. And if you're wondering why the Democrat Party has 30% support right now, Dylan Mulvaney, Rep, what the hell was his name? Something.
Right.
The guy in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, the dude from Delaware.
So I'm trying to remember who it was. Whoever announces somebody coming up with the mic. It wasn't Mike Johnson. It wasn't Speaker Johnson.
They said, like, the gentleman from Delaware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was friggin', it was brilliant. It was hilarious. Gotta love it. All right, next one up here. I can't believe this.
Yeah, I saw this one.
Did you?
Yeah.
This is too much. Yeah, 26 seconds.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
Just mentally ill.
The original is like 3 or 4 minutes long, and they're just freak show after freak show after freak show.
Yeah. So this is from the Angry American. He's done some work for us at Survival Dispatch in the past. He's got a bunch of books on Amazon. I think he's got about 30 books now. But anyway, his statement is accurate. This is what needs to end. Can someone explain why Malia Obama received $2.2 million in funds from USAID? Inquiring tax-paying minds want to know. Apparently, she wrote to dozens of kids. She doesn't think she should pay it back. Yeah. Okay. You'll dig the next one, Jeff. If cutting government funding shuts down an NGO, it is not, never was a non-governmental organization.
That's just true.
Very. I am sick and tired of all the evidence against the Democrats and no handcuffs. I freaking second that. Yeah. The people who are whining about 19-year-olds working for Doge are the same people who wanted you to listen to a 13-year-old about the climate.
Yeah.
A retarded 13-year-old at that. All right. A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has it under voluntary control.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson. Yeah, I've heard him say that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great way of stating the obvious. All right.
Harmless men or women?
Right. The richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world working for free to get rid of the corruption in Washington, D.C. AOC, laughing my ass off at billionaire earnestly trying to sell people in the idea that free speech is actually $8 a month subscription plan. Your feedback is appreciated. Now pay $8. Oh my God. I've got just an awesome pile of memes here. The boys have been busy in the Signal chat putting stuff in there. Give me 2 seconds. Just queue up another batch here. Like the never ending chapter 3 tonight, by the way. There's a lot of good stuff in here tonight. Man, and I see some of them are not going to open quite right. That's okay. Here we go. All right. Joe Biden, the Supreme Court tried to block me from relieving student debt, but they didn't stop me. I've relieved student debt for over 5 million Americans. I'm going to keep going. But Trump is the bad guy.
Well, Trump needs to go hold my beer.
Trump is the bad guy. Let's just be clear about it. It's everything is Trump's fault. Anything Trump does is bad. Doesn't matter if Obama or Biden or anybody else did it. All right. When I say cut taxes, this is Ron Paul, of course, I don't mean fiddle with the code. I mean abolish the income tax and the IRS and replace them with nothing. Highly likely that that's going to come. All right. Congratulations on 5 years of sobriety.
Shit.
I think this was either from S2 or Mike, currently caffeinating.
Looks like Mike.
Yeah, he gets really ugly when he doesn't have his coffee in the morning. Trust me, I've seen it. And this is from S2. Hey, Doge, while we're cutting the fat, why do we need NPR? We have the internet now. No one listens to NPR except for the mental midgets on the left.
True.
Next one up. There's some rare footage of your generation on your way to school.
Like that could have been me.
When I was a youngin', I had to walk 20 miles in a snowstorm to get to
Uphill
school.
both ways.
Yeah, right. All right. Next one up here. I just turned off the news and put on a serial killer documentary to relax. That is too funny. Give me 2 seconds here. I got to pull up the next batch. I'm going to go through them slightly different way. That'll speed things up a little bit here. All right. And further to the one on George Floyd, thanks to Kyle Rittenhouse, he hasn't touched a kid in 5 years. Freaking pedophile.
Yeah.
Convicted pedophile. A few minutes ago, I was just a fetus. Yeah. This late term abortion stuff is,
as a grandfather, yeah, I get that.
Beyond evil. Beyond evil. And just like that, all of a sudden, Democrats are against the weaponization of the Justice Department. Yeah, and there's probably the 3 most powerful men in the world in response to that.
Yeah.
LA Mayor Bass okayed wildfire czar for $500K for 3 months' work and didn't ask anybody or tell anybody about it. Mama, why are Democrats mad at Elon Musk? Because he's putting an end to their gravy train, honey.
Yeah.
Distrust. This is great, Jeff. You'll love this. Distrust of government is bad for you. Claim study.
Yeah. Funded by the government.
Yeah. I mean, you could end up committing suicide by shooting yourself 5 times in the back of the head.
Back of the head, yes.
Yeah. That moment your Republican dog finds out you voted for Joe Biden. I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept.
Yep.
This is beautiful. Call me childish, but beating the GPS time is an extreme sport for me. You're okay with Elon, even though he wasn't elected? Who elected Dr. Anthony Fauci?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm this old. So
Yeah, I remember those.
When I was in high school, Jeff, after Friday night football, I would go to the local truck stop and work a midnight shift, sleep all day Saturday, get up Sunday or Saturday night, visit a couple parties that my friends were at, then do another midnight shift. And then I would do it on Sundays many times as well, and then go to school. And believe it or not, working the midnight shift at a truck stop, 84, 85 time frame, I was making $10 an hour, and I was working 36 hours a week.
$10 an hour. That's big money back in those days. I was making like $3.85.
Yeah. While I was
People
only
realize this is why credit cards had raised numbers and letters.
correct. Yeah, and we should explain what it is. And I was the only one working, so they would close the gas bar out front and just have the diesel bar open in the back. You barely get anybody on Saturday nights, but it was kind of cool being like 16 years old, and they'd throw me their card and they said, I'm going in the restaurant, grab a bite to eat, park my truck over there. So pretty sure I ground up a few clutches when I was learning to drive those semis. Because can you do that? Sure, of course I can. All right. Wow. There's a mental image for you, baby.
Yeah, no. Eesh.
Oh, it gets worse. All right. Say the line, Harry Balls. Did you catch this, Jeff?
Yes. I love you trolled them and they fell for it.
Yeah. And I mean, literally within seconds of her saying Harry Balls. So people who haven't seen this, couple days ago, Elon Musk changed his name on X to Harry Balls for the sole purpose of getting these clowns at CNN to say Harry Balls, because they'd been going on about big balls for a couple days. And she did this whole thing, Dana Bash, this thing on him calling himself Harry Balls. He laughed his ass off and changed it back to Elon Musk.
Yesterday, we watched it. It was funny.
Yeah. If you don't have anything nice to say, say it anyway. Motherfuckers need to hear the truth. Oh, shit. This one's small. Let's see here. Mommy, what does a colostomy bag look like? Have you ever seen Maxine Waters?
Yeah.
True story. All right. When exactly in Earth's history did the climate not change?
Yeah,
So I see the European Union released something today saying January 2025, warmest January on record. It's just since when?
Well, yeah.
The late
all the human record is that.
Yeah, I mean,
historical times.
In the 1500s, we went through a very long heat wave, lasted decades. That was way hotter than anything you and I have ever seen in our lifetime.
When
the 1000s too.
When Caesar was around, they called it the Roman climate optimum. It was warmer then and for like 200-300 years than it is now.
Correct. Yeah. So if one of these climate hysteria people asks you or says to you, warmest whatever on record, the question is since when? Tell me since what date? Number one. Number two, for those people who aren't aware of this and haven't connected the dots, it started out acid rain. I remember that. I was old enough to remember that. The climate change, and then we were going to have another ice age, and blah blah blah. This is all in pursuit of one thing. This is to create a boogeyman that will end humanity, and the only way to save humanity is to have a one world government.
Give me your money.
Yeah.
People need to ask themselves, when Hannibal crossed the Alps with elephants, how did he pull that off given the snow? Because there was no snow back then. It was a lot freaking warmer.
Yeah. Right on. This is funny but true. Leftists reproduce by brainwashing other people's children. So the whole reason they go after the children is because they don't breed. Democrats are, super low on that, having children. Graph Republicans, or fuck the Republicans, MAGA would be higher. So they have to import all kinds of illegals to get people to vote for them, and they have to indoctrinate our children to vote for them. Otherwise, they would just go the way of the dodo. Here you go. In this house, we say gay and retarded because Donald Trump told us.
That's right.
We passed an executive order on that. The Amish Powerball up to 4 dozen eggs.
I saw one today. It says, house was egged, doubled in value.
Oh my God, it's classic. Too funny. Breaking. Okay, we already saw that. That's in our emails. Just in, Trump fired Biden nominated USAID Inspector General Paul Martin. Elon Musk. It's not like these politicians started companies or were NBA All-Stars. So where did they get all the money? Does anyone know? I'm telling you, it's going to be really interesting how that investigation unfolds. Elon Musk and his son Little X are in the Oval Office. This was yesterday with President Trump as he signs an executive order mandating federal agencies to work with Doge. Let's fucking go. Elon Musk, give him hell.
Absolutely.
Founding fathers. Here's the First Amendment. Oh, and in case someone tries to take away that, here's the Second Amendment.
Yeah, no shit.
If you really think about it, Trump is basically the new boss at a company where employees have been stealing for years.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? Migrant encounters on southwest border dropped 96% from last year. But Mayorkas said the border's secure and we can't do anything about the people coming across.
Yeah.
Lying sack of shit. Over 50% of liberal white women under 30 have a mental health issue. Are we worried yet?
The big question is, are we surprised?
Yeah, it's higher than that. So here's a post that Elon put out when he was going by Harry Balls. At this point, I am 100% certain that the magnitude of the fraud in federal entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, disability, etc., exceeds the combined sum of every private scam you've ever heard by far. It's not even close. And did you know that 4 out of 5 citizens love democracy? So
unless you're the fifth.
Right. Well, that's just it though, right? So this is precisely what we were mentioning earlier in this episode, that democracy is mob rules, and we are not a democracy. We'll never be a democracy. We don't want to be a democracy. It's a Democrat talking point. Check this out. Fraud, Democrats, Doge. Too funny. I told you they were corrupt as hell. Yes, he did. Experts say they don't know what thing is causing everyone to suddenly collapse, but it's definitely not that one thing. We have new exercise, by the way. This
one.
Pedophile lat pull down, simultaneously purge degenerates and build those wings. Some funny shit. To the Democrats saying we didn't vote for this, we did, and we won. End of story. Yeah. Now you know why Dems slandered him his first 4 years, stole the election in 2020, tried to jail him the last 4, tried to kill him before the last election. It wasn't Trump derangement syndrome. They were afraid of an audit.
Yep.
Exactly. Family Dollar did not get you pregnant, so don't steal our Pampers. Funny but sad. CNN, MSNBC hyped constitutional crisis over 200 times since Doge shut down USAID. This clown's such a piece of crap. Morning, Joe. Would you be willing to take Brittany Griner back? Russia no place for freaky chick with dick. When you hear Kash Patel is releasing the Epstein list day one. It's quite insane to watch people who robbed us blind trying to justify being upset at us for catching them. Elon killed my senator's money laundering operation. Oh, and there you go. Found a photo of Epstein's client.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Doge is not coming after your money. They're coming after the people that are stealing your money. Right? Get that through your skull. The weakest men compete with girls. The weakest minds celebrate it. True story. Oh, and there it is. There's the former DNI, which has now been upgraded to Tulsi Gabbard. Mega is watching. To all congressional Republicans, you are the majority now for one reason. Donald J. Trump, we the people voted you into power to follow his and our mandates. So follow them. I voted for big balls. Yes, we did. All right. Look at our green headbands. Look at my pretty paint job. The mother of all bombs. All right. So that is it for chapter 3. A couple things to wrap up the end of this episode. Let me just get down to my notes here. In case I haven't mentioned it before, we sure could use a good producer.
Yeah, I think you may have mentioned that once before, maybe twice.
It would make the show move along much faster and smoother. All right, so homework. We like to give you all some homework at the end of each episode related to the main topic, which is in chapter 1. I've got 3 quick points that I'll go to Jeff. So continue writing to your congressional reps demanding that they confirm Trump's nominations. Vocally support Trump's nominations on your socials and in person every chance you get. In other words, be that guy. And number 3, counter the bullshit lies that you come across on your socials with facts. I mean, we've given y'all a ton of examples of egregious misuses of our money through USAID and other channels. If you go grab the sit rep for tonight from Patreon, it has a link to govtrack.us so you can look up your Congress Critters contact info. Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/survival dispatch. Sign up for a free membership. You get 50% of our daily sit reps, highly curated daily newspaper. Continues to improve. I've got our senior editor, Grace McCutcheon, working on a new format for us, by the way, that's going to be even slicker. If you pay $9.99 a month, you, in addition to getting 100% of the sit reps, you get an invite to our private Signal chat. Just a ton of information. If you want to interact with S2, Mike Sterling, Jeff, myself, everybody is on there. Just sign up, install Signal if you don't have it. Send an email to support@survivaldispatch.com with your number. You will get an invite. Jeff, backing up to chapter 1, any other advice you can have?
No, I just, my congressman, who I'm not particularly thrilled with, but sends me emails saying, okay, do you support Tulsi Gabbard? Do you support Pam Bondi? Respond to those things and say yes. Now, he's a congressman, not a senator, but the word gets out. Let them know we support Trump's picks, and which is a way for them to know, okay, if I go against them or I go against Trump, it's going to cost me. So let them know you support 100% or 99%, whatever you do, what's going on, because the only way these guys will grow a spine is if they think growing said spine will get them reelected.
Well said, well said. All right, before we do the conflicted question and put a lid on this thing, I want to mention we have Ken Shamrock, the Ken Shamrock, and Don Mann, mutual friend of Jeff's and mine, coming on tomorrow night with a special announcement on a really interesting new sport that they're launching. Not to mention just two super awesome guys. Jeff has co-written some books with Don Mann. One of our favorite people in the whole world. The next night, Friday night, we have the J6 grandma, Cindy Lou Young, absolutely decimated by the Biden admin, put her in a really tough spot. You know, who on earth puts away a grandmother, who's not young, on a fixed income in jail for trespassing, essentially. Sunday night, we have JJ Carroll on, and sometime over the course of the next couple weeks, we'll have Jake Lang on for sure, very infamous J6. We're just working on the date, and there's a very high chance that we'll have Ivan Rakin on, the Minister of Retribution, and we will have Patrick Byrne on sometime probably in the next couple weeks. So we got a lot of interesting panelists. Oh, by the way, and I got a text today from Missouri Attorney General's Chief of Staff, James Lawson today, and Attorney General Andrew Bailey will be coming on Survival Dispatch News again soon. He's a super guy. So the conflicted question tonight, Jeff, is how do you prioritize and manage your resources when faced with limited storage space for your prepping supplies? So definitely applicable to people who live in apartments and maybe condos, but it's applicable to homeowners as well. I mean, I recognize my situation is kind of unique because we have all these companies send us all these products to potentially put them on our channel. Less than 10% make it to the channel. And when I reach out to them and say, hey, you want us to send it back, almost exclusively, they say, no, go ahead and keep it. I give it away to people and stuff like that. But space is an issue. So curious what your thoughts are, Jeff. I mean, if you're prepping food supplies, guns, ammo, takes a lot of room.
Well, I would start with the things you absolutely have to survive. Assuming you've already got a house, you got shelter, food and water. Then next is, what do you have to protect what you have to have?
Good point.
Guns and ammunition. And then after that, I would look at stuff that is, I don't want to call it necessarily nice to have, but stuff you may not need. But if you do need it, you need it. You think about medical supplies and, things like that. But you look at first, what can I not survive without? And that's what you stack first.
Yeah, good advice. I mean, if somebody lives in an apartment, number one, I would recommend stacking up freeze-dried food, not dehydrated. Freeze-dried food has a way longer shelf life and takes very minimal space. So I'm thinking of our friends at Nutrient Survival, and they've got these tins like the size of a large coffee tin with things like dehydrated powdered potatoes, and I'm not shitting you. They're absolutely amazing. All their food is premium level. You know what else they've got, Jeff, that's I love the taste of it, is their freeze-dried milk. It is friggin' amazing. And you get it, your storage space is very small versus what you get out of it, right? So I'm with you. Food and water, stack them up. So freeze-dried is good. Not just stacking up the water, though, because you'll run out of space that way. but ways to purify water, not filter it, not just filter. You got to be able to purify it as well. And, if you have a natural disaster approaching, we've mentioned it before, get a water bob off of Amazon, like 25 bucks, 100 gallons in your bathroom or in your bathtub, pardon me, hand pump on it.
I have to.
Same here. Speaking of which, every sit rep every day has a partner deal section at the end, and there's all kinds of discount codes and discount coupons and stuff where you can get stuff that we're willing to put our name on. Other than that, I don't really have any suggestions for space other than those two things, food and water. I'm a big fan of stacking up as much ammunition as possible, but there's no way around it. It's heavy and it takes a lot of room. So, and Jeff's right, though. You got to have stuff to protect what you've got, because God forbid if the apocalypse ever comes, it ain't going to be pretty. And we know what the apocalypse is going to look like. Jeff and Mike and all of our guys, they've seen it. When Baghdad fell, what happened in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I mean, the day that Baghdad fell, you had about 24 or 36 hours of looting by everybody. And then after that, the marauders came out and stole everything from the people who looted stuff. And by the third day was absolute chaos. And we had hundreds of thousands of troops there. And it took us the better part of a month to restore order.
Not enough troops. You'll never have enough troops.
Right. So, I mean, that it's a pretty good indicator of what would happen here if we were to face, societal collapse like that. It ain't going to be pretty. So anyway, that's it for chapter 3 and the ending tonight. Got a really cool closing video. I love collecting them and stacking them up for you guys to end each episode. This one's called Trump That. I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern normal time, with Don Mann, Ken Shamrock, Jeff Capps, and John Wheaton, and myself. And as Jeff just indicated, until tomorrow night, please like, share, comment, subscribe. God bless America.
God bless.